Well, welcome again to Virtual Fraser Museum, and this time we are outside again in my backyard. And I thought we could talk about victory gardens. Yeah, if you've never heard of a victory garden, in the mid-40s, World War I, World War II, the government asked civilians who were not away at war, so not the men and women fighting in Europe and Asia and whatnot during World War II, to stay home when they were home and to plant victory gardens or gardens. So what I've got is some raised bed gardens here in my backyard. And I thought maybe we could talk about what it takes to make a garden, perhaps. But I do want to give you a little bit of background. These gardens in the 1940s, there were millions of them. They were on people's roofs, in their backyard, perhaps on the back porch, in the windows, anywhere you could plant. This was a phenomenon in America, and there were families and people all over who took part in making these victory gardens, and there were posters that you could see that made it kind of into your American civic duty, which is kind of what you hear nowadays with our social distancing. And, of course, in the Courier-Journal you would see, and you can even see here, how the demand was so great that people were looking for plots anywhere they could find them. There were millions of them. And you would see articles as well about how to make your best garden, what pests to watch out for. It's unusual, but you would see gardening advice every day in the Courier-Journal, and images of families doing their part and making up, as it says, for lost time. It's possible that a third of all the vegetables making their way to tables, American tables in the 1940s, was coming from victory gardens. So it was a really effective way. And I felt like it applies now because we find ourselves wanting to socially distance ourselves from other people, and the grocery store sometimes crowded. Maybe this would keep us from going back to the grocery more often. So let's dive in and see what it takes to make a victory garden. This is one of my gardens. It is full of kale, which I planted last year spring, and it lived through the winter. Kale is cold weather crop, so you could plant it really early, and it'll come up, and it'll do really well. In fact, this lived, as I said, lived all the way through the winter. In fact, we've been eating this in most of our meals for dinner, most every evening, seems like. I don't think I get tired of kale. I don't know if I want to eat it straight. Hold on, let's see. Yeah, it tastes like grass. But you cook it with stuff, boy, it's really good for you. Eventually we'll have tomatoes. Right here, what you see, that is spinach growing. This is romaine lettuce. And we have collard greens here. But it doesn't have to be very large, and you can see it's pretty simple to make, really. I just got some wood from a home center. This is a 4x4 post that I cut into smaller pieces that you can see in the corners there. And to that, I screwed in these planks. And these are actually in the same area in the home store that I went to. They are the planks that are used to make fences. None of this is pressure treated. I got the cedar stuff because I don't really care much to have the chemical that's in pressure treated wood right next to something I'm going to eat. Do you know what these are? You probably don't know what these are, but look, they're growing right there. I plant these inside before it gets warm, because I want to have little seedlings and saplings that I can plant in the ground when it is warm. These, my friends, are one of my favorite things ever. Yep. Heirloom tomatoes. They don't always look as pretty as the ones you buy in the store, but they taste so much better. And Cherokee Purple is perhaps my favorite of all tomatoes. But look at that. This is part of the excitement that happens when you put the seeds in. All of a sudden you see something that little guy right there is going to give me a whole big plant full of tomatoes. And the seeds cost almost nothing to get. And it won't be long, a few months, I'm going to have tomatoes for my sandwiches. Or just tomatoes to eat straight. Cherokee Purple are the best. Oh, it's exciting. Airplane. Thanks for joining me and building a garden. I hope you build a garden, and I hope you plant all the things that you want. Tomatoes, particularly. Cherokee Purple tomatoes. Oh, and asparagus, which, by the way, is so much better straight from the ground. You don't even cook it. Just snap it off and eat it. Oh, it is so good. If you feel like you don't like asparagus, wait till you try it from the garden. Enjoy. This is just one day's growth. Look at that. Can you believe that? Oh my goodness. A little tufted titmouse just landed directly above the camera. Just sat there, looked at me for a second. How marvelous.